Okay, so welcome, and we're reading. I think this is the fourth week. We'll be reading Call of the Wild. So we've come on quite a way already, which is good. Now, just before we finish just before we start, there won't be a session next week. Okay. There will be a session the week after, so I'm not going away till tomorrow, till Wednesday. So I thought about it. I will admit, I thought, should I book the whole week off? And I thought I don't need to, so I won't. So it's just 1 week of this session that will be missing. Okay. Keep an eye on the calendar, of course.
Isn't it 10 days?
Yeah.
10 days. Yeah?
Yes, basically, yeah. So from Wednesday until the end of the week after. Okay. I did make a mistake in the calendar, but I've fixed that, I think. The sessions were running, but at the top it said Lynn's away, but it went for a month. And I was like, oh my goodness. And somebody contacted me and said, you're going away for a month? I went, no. And I looked, I thought, oh dear, I just put the wrong date in. I put 3 instead of 2. So it was like a whole, thank you, Shiny.
So on Wednesday there's no session. I see now. Okay, everything.
Calendar.
Yes, I have opened it. Yeah, I know, but that's routine, you know.
On the day, I tend to do that as well. I just check on the day. Okay, so that was just to make it clear that there will be only 1 week that we miss. And of course, if you want to meet up in the academy, you can, and do some reading about something else. That's absolutely fine. So let me just do the reading text. Oh, hang on a second. For some reason I've got last week's as well, Fridays as well. Okay, so Eleanor, you were the first person to say hello to me, which is always gets you to the top of the...
Yes, it's dangerous.
It is. It gets you to the top of the list.
The keys of that, yeah.
And I don't think anybody missed out last week. I think everybody got to read last week, so that's good. I don't have to add anybody in from there. Then, let's see, we've got Shiny was next. So Shiny, you'll be reading after Eleanor. Marco after Shiny. April after Marco. And Moz after everybody else. Okay, Moz. Now, don't forget, when you log in, you should see a message in the top right of your viewer that says today's reading session and it will give you the link to join me here. So you can teleport here directly without having to ask for a teleport. Okay. So, basically we're starting from something to do with Pelly, at the Pelly one morning. Okay, so Eleanor, as soon as you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready, yeah. At the Pelly, okay. At the Pelly one morning, as they were harnessing up, Dolly, who had never been conspicuous for anything, went suddenly mad. She announced her condition by a long, heart-breaking wolf howl that sent every dog bristling with fear, then sprang straight for Buck. He had never seen a dog go mad, nor did he have any reason to fear madness. Yet he knew that here was horror, and fled away from it in a panic. Straight away he raced with Dolly, panting and frothing, one leap behind. Nor could she gain on him, so great was his terror, nor could he leave her, so great was her madness. He plunged through the wooded breast of the island, flew down to the lower end, crossed a back channel filled with rough ice to another island, gained a third island, kept back to the main river, and in desperation started to cross it. And all the time Though he did not look, he could hear her snarling just one leap behind. Francois called to him a quarter of a mile away, and he doubled back, still one leap ahead, gasping painfully for air, and putting all his faith in that Francois would save him. The dog driver held the axe poised in his hand, and as Buck shot past him, the axe crashed down upon Mad Dolly's head. Buck staggered over against the sled, exhausted, sobbing for breath, helpless. This was Spitz's opportunity. He sprang upon Buck, and twice his teeth sank into his unresisting foe and ripped and tore the flesh to the bone. Then Francois' lash descended, and Buck had the satisfaction of watching Spitz receive the worst whipping as yet administered to any of the teams. "One devil that Spitz," remarked Perrault. "Some damn they came skill that Buck." "That Buck two devils," was Francois' rejoinder. "All the time I watched that Buck I know for sure. Listen. Some damn fine day him get mad like hell and then him chew that Spitz all up and spit him out on the snow. Sure I know." From then on it was war between them. Spitz, as lead dog and acknowledged master of the team, had his supremacy threatened by this strange Southland dog, and strange Buck was to him, for of the many Southland dogs he had known, not one had shown up worthily in camp and on trail. They were all too soft, dying under the toil, the frost, and starvation. Buck was the exception. He alone endured and prospered, matching the husky's strength, savagery, and cunning. Then he was a masterful dog, and what made him dangerous was the fact that the club of the man in the red sweater had knocked all blind pluck and rashness out of his desire for mastery. He was preeminently cunning, and could bide his time with a patience that was nothing less than primitive. It was inevitable that a clash for leadership should come. Buck wanted it. He wanted it because it was his nature, because he had been gripped tight by that nameless, incomprehensible pride of the trail and race, that pride which holds dogs in the toil to the last gasp, which lures them to die joyfully in the harness, and breaks their hearts if they are cut out of the harness. This was the pride of Dave as wheel dog, of sore legs as he pulled with all his strength, the pride that laid hold of them at break of camp, transforming them from sour and sullen brutes into straining, eager, ambitious creatures. The pride that spurred them on all day and dropped them at pitch of camp at night, letting them fall back into gloomy unrest and uncontent. This was the pride that bore up Spitz and made him thrash the sled dogs, or blundered and shagged in the traces, or hid away at harness-up time in the morning. Likewise, it was this pride that made him fear Buck as a possible lead dog. And this was Buck's pride too.
Well done. Nicely read.
Oh,
Okay.
it's very rhetorical.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what they say?
Like-
Pride comes before a fall.
Yeah.
Okay. Nicely done. Well done. So, bear with me a second. I'm doing a little trick so that I can find myself again after doing the corrections. Okay. So just the one correction. and
Oh,
I think you just misread it, so I'm going to give you a
oh,
chance
I,
to just say
I,
it on its
I,
own.
air, air,
That's better, air. So long, air.
air,
When you said
air.
it, yeah, when you said it, it was
Okay,
like
I will check.
but it should sound like air.
Ah,
Okay, and air sounds like air, as in air I see you, and
ah,
is to make an error. Okay, so when you said it, and you can listen to the recording, hopefully, it sounded too much like than air. Okay, to err is human,
okay.
to forgive
Uh,
divine. But we all err at some point in our lives.
I remember a funny saying, to err is human. To
Yep.
really screw something up, you need a computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yes, I've heard that one too. I'd forgotten about it, but yes, it's a good one. Um, and yeah,
Okay.
excellent. Any questions from anybody before we move on?
To me, it's like Cicero. These phrases are really very rhetorical, like a speech.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very interesting book about the nature of the wolf in the dog. I mean, they say that the
Yeah.
wolf is in every dog, even a little chihuahua, is wolf in there. Um, that said, dog psychologists, this idea of the pack leader, dog psychologists say we've misunderstood dogs because of this idea of pack leader. And having dogs myself, I'm interested in the latest studies on them, and because quite a lot of trainers will say you have to be the pack leader, you have to be the pack leader. Oh, Traum is here. Yes, of course you can join us, Traum. There we go. So I'll add Traum to the back end of the list. If we have time, she can of course join, but there's no guarantee, of course, if you're a bit late. So okay, no questions apart from Traums. Can I join you? Hello,
This
Traum.
is
Sorry, I'm late as always.
I
And,
know. I mean, the only risk you take being late, Traum, is that you might not get your chance to read, but we'll see how we get on. April, you were saying?
okay.
That's a strange words. Wooded breath.
Yes.
Breath.
That is very odd, isn't it? Let's look at it in context. Okay. Bear with me a second. The wooded breast of the island. So, of course, we're not talking about a person here. So we're not actually talking about a woman's breasts, for example. But you can talk about, in terms of geography, yeah, the breast of the world. Okay, the breast of the island. It can mean like a part of something. Okay. So the beginning of, or let me give it a see if I can. Okay. Let's see if I can find the dictionary definition. Okay. The front, or a curving part of something. Okay.
The front of a curving part.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you were talking about the breast of the island, it would be basically the front of the island. And to breast is also a verb, remember, which means to climb. Yeah. So don't think of it as being part of the anatomy always. It's not. It can be the front part of something. Okay, as the breast is the front part of a woman's body, it can also be the front part of something. Okay. So the breast of the island would be the front part of the island, maybe a curving part, and the wooded breast, it means there's woods on it. There's trees growing on it, okay? So if somebody said to you, I'll meet you at the wooded breast of the island, look for a curving part of the island with lots of trees on it, okay?
So it's not the center of the island. Eh?
I wouldn't take it as that. I would look for a wood, but it might be a hill. So it might be in the centre, but a hill. But I think of more of the front part as you maybe approached the island, okay? And of course nowadays we wouldn't bother with it, we'd just give you the GPS coordinates. Not as romantic. 001122, 9785994, whatever. Okay, Shiny, it is your turn to read. Can we hear you? Can you hear me?
Hi Lynn, hi everyone.
Hi, very nice. Good, good, good. I love it when it comes and everything works and people can talk. It's fantastic. Love it. Okay, so Shiny, whenever you're ready, if you'd like to start reading.
Okay. He openly threatened the other's leadership. He came between him and the shrieks he should have punished, and he did it deliberately. One night there was a heavy snowfall, and in the morning Pike, the malingerer, did not appear. He was securely hidden in his nest under a foot of snow. Francois called him and sought him in vain. Spitz was wild with wrath. He raged through the camp, swelling and digging in every likely place, snarling so frightfully that Pike heard and shivered in his hiding place. But when he was at last unearthed, and Spitz flew at him to punish him, Buck flew with equal rage in between. So unexpected was it, and so shrewdly managed, that Spitz was hurled backward and off his feet. Pike, who had been trembling gently, took heart at this open mutiny and sprang upon his overthrown leader. Buck, to whom fair play was a forgotten code, likewise sprang upon Spitz, but Francois, chuckling at the incident, while unswerving in the administration of justice, brought his lash down upon Buck with all his might. This failed to drive Buck from his prostrate rifle, and the butt of the whip was brought into play. Half stunned by the blow, Buck was knocked backward, and the lash laid upon him again and again, while Spitz soundly punished the many times offending Pike. In the days that followed, as Dawson grew closer and closer, Buck still continued to interfere between Spitz and the culprits, but he did it craftily. When Francois was not around, with the covert mutiny of Buck, a general insubordination sprung up and increased. Dave and Solex were unaffected, but the rest of the team went from bad to worse. Things no longer went right. There was continual bickering and juggling. Trouble was always afoot, and at the bottom of it was Buck. He kept Francois busy, for the dog driver was in constant apprehension of the life and death struggle between the two, which he knew must take place sooner or later, and no more than one night the sounds of quarreling and strife among the other dogs turned him out of his sleeping robe, fearful that Buck and Spitz were at it. But the opportunity did not present itself, and they popped into Dawson one dreary afternoon with the great fight still to come. Here were many men and countless dogs, and Buck found them all at work. It seemed the ordained order of things that dogs should work. All day they swung up and down the main street in long teams, and in the night the jingling bells still went by. They howled, capping rocks and firewood, frighted up to the mines, and did all manner of work that horses did in the Santa Clara Valley. Here and there Buck met soft-mouthed dogs, but in the main they were the wild wolf husky breed. Every night, regularly, at 9, at 12, at 3, they lifted a nocturnal song, a weird and eerie chant, in
Very
which
good.
it was Buck's
Oh, sorry, carry on.
delight to okay.
Sorry, I got eerie
Yeah.
chant and I thought that was the end of it. I'd cut my own text off. Well done. Yeah, in which it was Buck's delight to join. Absolutely. I haven't got my my sound effects, I'm afraid, so I can't set one off, but never mind. You know what I mean. Very nicely read, Shiny. Let's have a look at the individual words first, where we can help you with a bit with pronunciation. So the first one, deliberately.
Deliberately.
Yeah, you're saying deliberately. Okay. Now we deliberate. Okay, so the verb, which has nothing to do with doing something deliberately, to deliberate, to think about something. We do have this but deliberately, it's actually, it disappears. Okay. So if you look at the text, the phonetic spelling, so you can see it deliberately, and the we tend to swallow, which is lovely news for poetry. She loves it. So deliberately, try it.
Deliberately.
Not deliberately, deliberately. You've still got to have the T.
Deliberately.
Perfect. Yeah, deliberately. Absolutely. Okay. Okay, next one is vain. It's got a long A sound. Vain.
Vain.
That's it. Now, vain sounds like in if you do body, the human body, the veins in your arms and in your legs and in your neck. You've got veins that carry the blood, and it's got the same pronunciation, vein and vein. Okay. So the next one, unexpected.
Unexpected.
Perfect. Lovely. And then upon, not up on. It's not two separate words. Up, on. That would be, he jumped up on, last week, April jumped up on the post box until she was standing upon the post box. Okay, so up, on versus upon. Okay?
Upon.
That's it, good. And then the next one, it's a softer s than a hard z. It's closer. So Eleanor is standing close to you, but buck is closer, not closer. To close with the z, that's the verb, and to be close, yeah, that's with a nice soft s. Okay, try it. Closer,
Closer.
not closer. Closer.
Closer.
That's it.
Closer.
That's it. Good. So as the adverb, as the adjective, it's close. As the verb, it's close. Okay, but long O, and you have to decide between the s sound and the z sound. Okay. Okay, next one. Craftily.
Craftily.
Yay! If you've ever seen that photograph of the pizza before and after Leica craftily removed all the pieces of sausage from the pizza. She did it very craftily. I didn't even see her do it. Okay, craftily. With craft. I mean sneakily, yeah? Sneakily, craftily. And then you got jingling right later, and this is the same. Jingle jangle. So it's jangling. Jangling.
Jangling.
Yay, perfect. And then again this long A sound. Main. A.
Main.
That's
Main.
it. Yeah, because otherwise it sounds, if you say it like vein and men, it could be the plural of man, men. Yeah, so you've got to get that long A, main. The next one, again, it's one word, firewood.
Firewood.
Perfect. And freighted, to freight something, to deliver it, to carry a large amount of something to be delivered. Freighted.
Freighted.
Not frighted, freighted. Like an A. Again, that long A sound. You don't like A, do you? Freighted.
Freighted.
Much better. Good. Well done. Okay. So, any questions?
What was in your book with in this sentence? Is it and on more than or and no more than? Because I think Chinese said no more, but in my text is on more. Which one is right?
Hang on a second. Let me scroll down because I was at shiny thing. Let me just see. And on more. It should be and on more than. Okay, so if you heard shiny say, we can always check in the recording. I didn't catch that one. It should be and on more than one night. We often say on more than one occasion. On more than one occasion. Okay. Do you want to just try that on more than one night, Shiny?
On more than one night.
Yeah, that sounds
no,
fine. It might be that you just said one more than one night because you got the one later that could infect the one at the on at the front. That's quite possible. I just didn't hear it. Well done, April. But we can listen to the recording, see if April's right.
No, I think she's right because I misread this word.
Okay. Okay, there's one question I've got for you. What do you think this means when it says here, turned him out of his sleeping robe? What does that tell you? What happens to be turned out of something? Any ideas? Not he should, but he had to. Well done. Yes, he had to get up. He had to get dressed in this case. His sleeping robe, I don't know what it might be. It sounds a bit posh to be on the road, but yes, Eleanor?
I thought it was a metaphor, just this ice and snow. They made a house in snow to sleep in.
Not in this context. That's the dogs do that, but
see.
the humans don't. The humans have sleeping bags, etc.
Okay.
So if you're turned out of something, you're thrown out. So she was turned out of her home. That means she was told to leave. She was pushed out of her home. But to be turned out of your bed, it might mean I heard a strange sound in the night that turned me out of my bed. In other words, I got up. So in this context, it means he had to get dressed and go out and sort the dogs out because he was worried they were going to kill each other. He should have basically dealt with it better. But there you go. Buck's not a stupid dog, nor is Spitz. Spitz is just vicious. But there you go. Well done, Hermina. Yes, indeed. He had to get up. He had to get up, not he should. Remember, should is advice. So he should have dealt with the dogs better, but he had to get up because he was worried and frightened that the dogs were going to kill each other. Okay? Okay, so
And what
next
does it
person-
mean?
Yeah, April?
To take heart at
It
his
means
open mutiny.
find courage. Yeah. If you take heart at something, it means you find courage. You find something positive about it. Okay. So you might say to somebody, "Take heart. Take heart. This will soon be over." It means just find some courage inside yourself. Remember, it's not going to last forever. Or you might take heart from something that you see. You know, you think the world's a horrible place, and then you see a newborn baby, and you can take heart that, you know, things aren't that bad. Okay, April?
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes I think I'll use that on you. Next time, April, you're going, "Why is the world like this?" I'll say, "Take heart." There are more good people in the world than bad.
Is it an idiom, Lynn?
It is an idiom, yes, yeah. Oh, absolutely. You shouldn't take somebody's heart. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Marco, you are up to read next. Can we hear you? Can you hear us?
Yes, okay.
Excellent. Then whenever you're ready, from... Oh, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to see if you can say it. Go on.
Riley.
I just seen what you're getting next. Oh, dear. Do you want help?
Okay.
Give me your best shot.
Okay. With the aurora borealis flaming coldly overhead, or the stars sleeping in the frost dance, and the land numb and frozen under its pall of snow, this song of the huskies might have been the defiance on life. Only it was pitched in minor key, with long-drawn wailings and half-sobs, and was more the pleading of life, the articulate travail of existence. It was an old song, old as the breed itself, one of the first songs of the younger world in a day when songs were said. It was invested with the woe of unnumbered generations, this plaint by which Buck was so strangely steered. When he moaned and sobbed, it was with the pain of living that was of all the pain of his wild fathers, and the fear and mystery of the cold and dark that was to them fear and mystery, and that he should be steered by it marked the completeness with which he harked back through the ages of fire and roof to the raw beginnings of life in the howling ages. 7 days from the time they pulled into Dawson, they dropped down the step bank by the barracks to the Yukon Trail and pulled for Dia and salt water. Perrault was carrying dispatches, if anything more urgent than those he had brought in. Also, the travel pride has gripped him, and he proposed to make the record trip of the year. Several things favored him in this. The week's rest had recuperated the dogs and put them in Doro trim. The trail they had broken into the country was packed hard by later journeyers. And further, the police had arranged in 2 or 3 places deposits of grub for dog and man, and he was traveling light. They made 60 miles, which is a 50-mile run, on the first day, and the second day saw them booming up the Yukon well on their way to Pelly. But such splendid running was achieved not without great trouble and vexation on the part of Francois. The insidious revolt led by Buck had destroyed the solidarity of the team. It no longer was as one dog leaping in the traces. The encouragement Buck gave the rebels led them into all kinds of petty misdemeanors. No more was Spitz a leader greatly to be feared. The old Dave departed, and they grew equal to challenging his authority. Pike robbed him of half a fish one night, and gulped it down under the protection of Buck. Another night, Dub and Joe fought Spitz and made him forego the punishment they deserved. And even Billy, the good-natured, was less good-natured, and whined not half so placatingly as in former days. Buck never came near Spitz without snarling and bristling menacingly. In fact, his conduct approached that of a bully, and he was given to swaggering up and down before Spitz's very nose. The breaking down of discipline likewise affected the dogs in their relations with one another. They quarreled and bickered more than ever among themselves, till at times the camp was a howling bedlam. Dave and Sol-Lex alone were unaltered, though they were made irritable by the unending squabbling. Francois swore strange barbarous oaths, and stamped the snow in futile rage, and tore his hair. His lash was always singing among the dogs, but it was of small avail. Directly his back was turned, they were at it again. He backed up Spitz with his whip, while Buck backed up the remainder of the team. Francois knew he was behind all the trouble, and Buck knew he knew, but Buck was too clever Buck was too clever ever again to be caught red-handed. He worked faithfully in the harness, for the toil had become a delight to him, yet it was a greater delight slightly to precipitate a fight amongst his mates and tangle the traces.
Well done. Excellent. Well done. Nicely read. And the Aurora Borealis. Well done. You see, you can do it. You were worried and there was no need to worry. I knew you could do it. Okay, let's have a look at the first words and one little phrase. Just that first bit, the defiance of life. You actually said on. So it's the defiance of life. Okay. Try it.
The defiance of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. And then the next one, it's not the verb, which is to articulate. It's actually being used as an adjective, articulate. yeah, an articulate person. So not the verb. The verb is to articulate. He articulated well when you were reading that. Marco articulated very well as he was reading the book. But this is articulate. Okay, so the sound. Try it.
Articulate.
That's it, good. Then steep, long E, not step, a steep slope.
Oh, steep slope, yes.
Yeah, what you want me to build so you can go skiing down a
Yes, yeah.
You want me to build a steep slope. I'm thinking about it still. I haven't forgotten. Okay, the next one, again, we've got the difference between the verb and the adjective. So to record, but this isn't that. It's working as an adjective to describe the trip. The record trip. Record trip.
The record trip.
That's it, good. The next one is the OUGH. And this one is not O or uff, it's thorough. Thorough. Try it.
Thorough.
Yeah, that's okay. Thorough. I don't tend to say thorough. It's not an or. I just say thorough. Let's see if I can give you the. See if we can get the phonetic symbols. There it is. So it's a weird one, isn't it? Thorough.
Thorough.
That's it. Good, good. Okay, well done. Okay, the next one. Oh, let me just scroll back up. Deposits. It's deposits.
Oh, deposits.
Yeah, and the same next one. Revolt.
Revolt.
Yeah, revolting. It's revolt. Sometimes the E takes this I sound, okay? Then misdemeanors. A misdemeanor, a small crime, not worth going to prison for. It's a misdemeanor. Okay, try it.
Misdemeanors.
Yeah, not Ms., not a person. Misdemeanor. Miss, that's it. Misdemeanor.
For misdemeanors, you don't go to porridge. You will not taste the porridge.
Absolutely. Okay, tough guy can't join us. Let's see if he can join this. I don't know why he can't get in. He should be able to. It's open to group members and he is a group member. Anyway, so misdemeanors, well done. Then awe. It's like awe. In awe. Awe. Try it.
Just long awe.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. She was in awe of him. She was in awe of his abilities. In awe. Okay, that's all. That's it. It's that simple. Now the next one is actually, if you want to do some reading, just look up History of Bedlam on Google. Okay, Bedlam was a place in the UK. It was a mental institution, very notorious. And so whenever anything is in chaos, we say Bedlam. Okay, so try it. Bedlam.
Bedlam.
Very good. The next one.
So it's a synonym. So it's a synonym for chaos, no?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was utter bedlam. This morning was utter bedlam. Actually, this morning was quite. Sometimes sessions are complete bedlam. Okay. The next one, barbarous. Barbarity, but barbarous. Try it.
Barbarous.
Perfect.
Barbarous.
And the last one, it's futile. It's futile trying to learn the rules of pronunciation. Just get a feeling for the language. Futility, but futile. Okay?
Futile.
That's it. Good. Now, you get a smiley. You get a smiley for unaltered. Unaltered. Not changed. Okay, try it again, just to confirm. Unaltered in your brain.
Oh, I hope that I'm unaltered.
Yeah, no, it's just you had to correct yourself, so it's always worth reconfirming in your brain. Yes, that correction was correct. Okay, and then this last one, it's just the phrase, how you say it. It's a bit awkward, So I'll read it for you first. Perrault was carrying dispatches, if anything, more urgent than those he had brought in. Now that more, because it's in front of urgent, you need to stress it. Even though there's no clue there, there's no, it's not in italics or in quotes or underlined, but you would just naturally do it, okay? So I'll say it again and then I want you to repeat the sentence. Perrault was carrying dispatches, if anything, more urgent than those he had brought in. Try it.
Perrault was carrying dispatches, if anything, more urgent than those he had brought in.
Good, that's it. Because the dispatches he brought into the place were urgent, and the ones going out are even more urgent, okay? Very good, well
To
done.
emphasize more, to
Yes.
stay there and stand and emphasize more. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It's a whole sentence, but that more is important because it needs a bit of emphasis just to say, you know, they're always urgent. All these dispatches are urgent, but this was more urgent than usual, okay? Very good, well done. Tuff's having problems finding us in here. We'll have to sort that out. I'll send him the, let me write that down. I'll send him the link to the replay.
Marco, how did you pronounce this word again? I was a little bit confused.
Steve.
Ooh, well done, April. Stirred. April's my second pair of ears.
Yeah, great.
It's great. I love it.
I thought that Marco says still, but Linda didn't put it in her correction, so I was a little bit confused.
No, you're quite correct.
Did I hear that correctly or not?
Okay, no, well heard. Remember, sometimes I'm writing down the last thing. It might slip by me. It's very good to have another pair of ears listening in. There's no escape, Marco. Very good. Okay, any questions?
Double check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can imagine if I use 100%, Shani.
Yes.
That box will be full of my mistake.
Okay, so let's see who's next reading. I think it is April. Yes, it is indeed. So April, don't mute your mic. But are there any questions before we move on? No? No? Excellent. So April, whenever you're ready, if you'd like to continue reading.
Okay. Page 3, I think. At the mouth of the Takina, one night after supper, Duck turned up a snowshoe rabbit, blundered it, and missed. In a second, the whole team was in full cry. 100 yards away was a camp of the Northwest Police, with 50 dogs, huskies all, who joined the chase. The rabbit sped down the river, turned off into a small creek, up the frozen bed of which it held steadily. It ran lightly on the surface of the snow, while the dogs plowed through by main strength. Buck led the pack, 60 strong, around bend after bend, but he could not gain. He lay down low to the race, whining eagerly, his splendid body flashing forward, leap by leap, in the warm white moonlight, and leap by leap, like some pale frost wraith, the snowshoe rabbit flashed on ahead. All that stirring of old instincts, which at stated periods drives men out from the sounding cities to forest and plain to kill things by chemically propelled leaden pellets. The bloodlust, the joy to kill, all this was Buck's, only it was infinitely more intimate. He was ranging at the head of the pack, running the wild thing down, the living meat to kill with his own teeth and wash his muzzle to the eyes in warm blood. There is an ecstasy that marks the summit of life, and beyond which life cannot rise. And beyond which life cannot rise. And such is the paradox of living. This ecstasy comes when one is most alive, and it comes as a complete forgetfulness that one is alive. This ecstasy, this forgetfulness of living, comes to the artist, caught up and out of himself in a sheet of flame. It comes to the soldier, war mad on a stricken field and refusing quarter, and it came to Buck, leading the pack, sounding the old wolf cry, straining after the food that was alive and that fled swiftly before him through the moonlight. He was sounding the deeps of his nature and of the parts of his nature that were deeper than he, going back into the womb of time. He was mastered by the sheer surging of life, the tidal wave of being, the perfect joy of each separate muscle, joint, and sinew, in that it was everything that was not death, that it was aglow and rampant, expressing itself in movement, flying exultantly under the stars and over the face of that matter that did not move. But Spitz, cold and calculating, even in his supreme moods, left the pack and cut across a narrow neck of land where the creek made a long bend around. Buck did not know of this, and as he rounded the bend, the frost wraith of a rabbit still flitting before him, he saw another and larger frost wraith leap from the overhanging bank into the immediate path of the rabbit. It was Spitz. The rabbit could not turn, and as the white teeth broke its back in midair, it shrieked as loudly as a stricken man may shriek. At sound of this, the cry of life plunging down from life's apex, in the grip of death, the full pack at Buck's heels raised a hell's chorus of delight. Buck did not cry out. He did not check himself, but drove it upon Spitz, shoulder to shoulder, so hard that he missed the throat. They rolled over and over in the powdery snow. Spitz gained his feet, almost as though he had not been overthrown, slashing back down the shoulder and leaping clear. Twice his teeth clipped together, like the steel jaws of a trap, as he backed away for better footing, with lean and lifting lips that writhed and snarled. In a flash, Buck knew it. The time had come. It was to the death. As they circled about, snarling, ears laid back, keenly watchful for the advantage, the scene came to Buck with a sense of familiarity. He seemed to remember it all, the white woods and earth and moonlight and the thrill of battle. Over the whiteness and silence brooded a ghostly calm. There was not the faintest whisper of air, nothing moved. Not a leaf quivered. The visible breath of the dogs, rising slowly and lingering in the frosty air. They had made short work of the snowshoe rabbit, these dogs that were ill-tamed wolves, and they were not drawn up in an expectant circle. They too were silent, their eyes only gleaming and their breath drifting slowly upwards. To Buck it was nothing new or strange, this scene of old time. It was as though it had always been the wonted way of things.
Very good.
Spitz was
Okay, sorry, I know we're caught up in the moment. Very good, well done. Okay, so couple of words that we can help you with. Okay. Oh, don't run away, Moz. It's your next. So we've got intimate, not intimate. To intimate something, it can mean to sort of say something without saying it clearly. Okay. To intimate, but intimate, it means something that is very deep and very personal, okay? A private nature, intimate secrets. So to intimate, the verb, but intimate, which is more of a adjective, okay?
Okay.
Intimate.
Intimate.
Not intimate, intimate, intimate,
Ah,
intimate.
intimate.
That's it, yeah. So the stress on the first syllable, in, okay, intimate. And that's the adjective. But to intimate, it sounds strange, I know, when you say it on its own. Intimate, okay?
Okay, but why is the what do you say that in your first correction, in your first line, Lynn, intimate, that pronunciation science or characters is different than the last that you...
Yep, the first one's the adjective, intimate, and the
Yeah,
second one is
intimate.
the verb, intimate.
Well, yeah, but before in your release of my mistakes.
Oh, yeah, that's just me, intimate. That was me writing it. The other one's from the dictionary. I tend to say intimate. Remember, I'm British, and that one's from Merriam-Webster. That's the American one. Okay, sorry, I should have said. First one's the American one. My one is the British one, intimate. The second one is the American one, intimate. And then the third one is intimate. Okay?
Okay, intimate.
That's it. Okay, the next one, you've got to watch the d ending. You've said it a few times, you're just missing it, and therefore it doesn't become a verb in the past. It's just a verb in the present. And this one is shrieked. You've got to get the kt. Okay, shrieked.
Shrieked.
That's it.
Shrieked.
Good. Okay. The next one is the hard C. It's not like church, it's chorus. Chorus.
You know,
I know.
You heard I said, I always mistaken to the chorus, chorus,
cut.
choir, and church.
That's it, yep. Choir, chorus, church. Okay, the next one, familiarity. Familiarity breeds contempt. Familiarity. Try it.
Familiarity.
Yeah. And the third one, the last one, it's now, not.
Oh, sorry. Now.
You just, yeah, it was just, I know you know how to pronounce now, but you read not, which would completely change the meaning of the sentence. So, okay, Tough Guy can't join us. Try putting the group title on. Try turning the group title on. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask here, which is really dangerous when I'm doing a session. Okay, a question to everybody. What is a chemically propelled leaden pellet? Any idea? Anybody got an idea what a
Something
chemical?
on shooting, but
Yeah.
I don't think it is what you expect.
Oh, it is.
Leaden pellets, it's clear, but why chemically propelled, I don't know, but it's something that triggers it.
No, not fertilizer. No, it's just a bullet. A bullet is a chemically propelled leaden pellet. Especially with when they used muskets in the past, you had a little bit of gunpowder and a leaden pellet. rammed it down, set fire to it, boom, and then the rifle would aim the leaden pellet at whatever you were trying to kill. It's just a bullet. Yeah, well done, Marco. I'm not sure if you copied me, but you are correct. A bullet is a chemically propelled leaden pellet. That's what makes the difference between literature and just writing. Yeah, wonderful description, I think. And also, they put here refusing quarter. Now, if you're mathematically minded, you might think of like 25%. But what does it mean here, refusing quarter? If I refuse quarter, if I start... Hang on, let me see if I can start... Moz is standing up, so I'll start doing it here. Let's see if I can do it. No. Yay, okay.
As headquarter, am I right?
Let me just, hang on, here you go.
Where
Puff! Puff. Poor Moz, but I'm going to keep kicking him. I'm not going to give any quarter. It means being merciless, okay? To refuse quarter. You know that time of chivalry, sorry Moz. The time of chivalry. If you asked for quarter and were granted quarter, it's like mercy, okay? I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it.
It's nothing to do with space, that you put him in the corner and don't give him any space for a
No,
moment.
nothing to do with that. It's not giving any, not showing any mercy. To refuse quarter, to basically go in for the kill, okay? Okay, so let's see, have we got time? Moz, can we hear you? Can you hear us? If everybody's got time, we'll carry on.
Hello?
Oh, hello. Oh, that's very loud. Hang on, let me just reduce your sound a bit. Oh, ow, ow, my ears. I don't know why, but my sound's really loud at the moment. I don't understand. So, okay, Moz.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, if you'd like to start reading.
I was trying to find where she stopped since I was watching something. Is it in a flashback new?
No, I think April read that. I think it's from Spitz was a practiced fighter. Is that right, April?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spitz was
Okay.
The paragraph underneath, basically. Spitz was a practiced fighter. Okay.
Okay. Spitz was a practice fighter from Spitsbergen through the Arctic and across Canada and the Barrens. He had held his own with all manner of dogs and achieved to mastery over them. Bitter rage was his, but never blind rage. In passion to rend and destroy, he never forgot that his enemy was in the like passion to rend and destroy. He never rushed till he was prepared to receive a rush. Never attacked till he had first defended that attack. In vain Buck strove to seek his teeth in the neck of the big white dog. Wherever his fangs struck for the softer flesh, they were countered by the fangs of Spitz. Fang clashed fang, and lips were cut and bleeding. But Buck could not penetrate his enemy's guard. Then he wound up and enveloped Spitz in a whirlwind of rushes. Time and time again he tried for the snow-white throat. Raw life bubbled near to the surface, and each time and every time Spitz slashed him and got away. Then Buck took to rushing, as though for the throat, when suddenly, drawing back his head and curving in from the side, he would drive his shoulder at the shoulder of Spitz, as a ram by which to overthrow him. But instead, Buck's shoulder was slashed down each time as Spitz leaped lightly away. Spitz was untouched, while Buck was streaming with blood and panting hard. The fight was growing desperate, and all the while the silent and the wolfish circle waited to finish off whichever dog went down. As Buck grew winded, Spitz took to rushing, and he kept him staggering for footing. Once Buck went over, and the whole circle of 60 dogs started up, but he recovered himself almost in mid-air, and the circle sank down and waited. But Buck possessed a quality that made for greatness imagination. He fought by instinct, but he could fight by head as well. He rushed as though attempting the old shoulder trick, but at the last instant swept low to the snow as and in. His teeth closed on Spitz's left foreleg. There was a crunch of breaking bone, and the white dog faced him on three legs. Thrice he tried to knock him over, then repeated the trick and broke the right foreleg. Despite the pain and helplessness, Spitz struggled madly to keep up. He saw the silent circle, with gleaming eyes, lolling tongues, and silvery breaths drifting upward, closing in upon him, as he had seen similar circles close in upon beaten antagonists in the past. Only this time he was the one who was beaten. There was no hope for him, but was inexorable. Mercy was a thing reserved for gentler climes. He maneuvered for the final rush. The circle had tightened till he could feel the breaths of the huskies on his flanks. He could see them beyond Spitz and to either side, half crouching for the spring, their eyes fixed upon him. A pause seemed to fall. Every animal was motionless as though turned to stone. Only Spitz quivered and bristled as he staggered back and forth, snarling with a horrible menace as though to frighten off impending death. Then Buck sprang in and out, but while he was in, shoulder had at last squarely met shoulder. The dark circle, making a dot on the moon-flooded snow. As Spitz disappeared from view, Buck stood and looked on, the successful champion, the dominant primordial beast, who had made his skill and found it good.
Very good, well done. Oh, you almost feel sorry for Spitz, really, don't you? It's like, oh, poor Spitz. But then you remember he was a bit of a vicious brute. So Buck is the champion, the alpha dog. Well done. Okay, let me just see if I can get your text, Moz. Very well read. So only a few corrections. Well done. So the first one is just the ink sound for sink. To sink into the snow. To sink. You've got to get the k at the end. Try it.
Okay, sink.
Yeah. And then got away. Not to get away. He got away. Get. And then the past got. Okay?
Got away.
good. Then the next one, winded. It's not from to wind. Yeah, you can wind up
Get
the
the way.
clock, but the past form of to wind is wound. Okay, so I wound my watch. Mind you, nobody winds their watch
Oh,
anymore,
no,
but I
I
wound
can't.
my watch this morning.
Can't
So,
hear you, Lynn.
oh, sorry. Is that better?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
I
this
bet-
this next one, it's not from to wind, because the past of to wind, it's an irregular verb. It's wound. Okay, so I wound my watch this morning. So this one is a verb, but it's to wind somebody. So when I was kicking you, yeah, if I'd kicked you in the stomach, I would have winded you. Or if you run a lot and you run too far and too fast, you become winded. Okay? So he was winded. Try it.
Okay, winded.
Hey, well done. Okay, the next one, crouching. To crouch. Yeah, so let me stand up and I'll... Whoop, sorry, April, I didn't mean to stand up on you. You can crouch down in... these. Yeah, I'm crouching. To crouch. Okay? So, crouching. Try it.
Crouching.
Perfect. And I think that was it. Yeah, crouching was the last one. Any questions?
Is it primordial or both, Lynn?
Oh, very question. Good question. I tend to say primordial. Yeah, the primordial soup, as they talk about it, where we all came from. Hey, did you see our oldest ancestor? What an ugly bug. Just Google human's oldest ancestor. So I say primordial, but I have heard primordial before. But generally, if you look at, let's see, where's Cambridge gone? Then it's primordial, okay? Okay, April?
Okay.
Yep. I don't know what your dictionary says, but
Primordial.
Prime.
yeah.
My dictionary say prime, and I heard most say prim, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, you see? So try
It's
saying
according
it.
to... Uh-huh.
Try saying it, Moz. Primordial.
Well, okay, primordial.
Primordial, yeah. I'm going to make April my what would you call it? My deputy, April. You're my deputy. You've got to back me up. Catch those words I missed.
Oh no, they will hate me.
No. Everybody likes to be corrected in these sessions. You know that. That's what people are here for. Okay, how are we doing for time? I'm afraid we have run out. So, there won't be a session next week. So, Traum, I will put you in as a reader for next session, which will be in a week's time, okay?
Oh, Lynn, sorry. That I am here is exceptional, as you know. It's the first term of school has ended, and I won't take part in the session you just mentioned.
Oh,
Sorry, but
oh.
this is not a problem today. I listened and it was great. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, yes. I didn't think to say, Traum, are you bunking off school?
No, we are on holiday. It's school break.
Well, as you know, I never mention whether somebody should be at work or not, but enjoy the rest of your week then. It's half term, is it? Half term?
Yes, it is.
I don't think it
The
is
kids
here.
they got their reports, yes, and we have now a week off.
Excellent. Yeah, it isn't here, April. It's because carnival, as you call it, or Fasching, as they call it in Germany, is quite late this year. So there isn't. I know it's not half term because when I was walking Leica this morning, I still had to have her on a short lead going past the school because all the kids go past so quickly, running, screaming, on their skates, on their skateboards and their what do you call those stupid roller things that they use. So I have to keep Leica really close to me because she hates it. So, but anyway. So enjoy your
What is it
week
called
off.
for skate?
I'm sorry, Marco. What?
Sorry, you mentioned like the kids
Yeah.
are riding on their skateboards, but is it called for skateboard? Is it called today in Berlin?
And to skateboard, it's a verb. So a skateboard to skateboard. Is that what you meant, Marco?
Yes, but is it called to use a skateboard?
Oh, cool. Is it cool? I have no idea, Marco. My days are being cooler, long gone.
Cold. Is it cold?
Oh,
Because it's
cold.
today.
Sorry, I wasn't getting.
Cold.
I was hearing cold. Is it cold? Try saying cold, like old, cold.
Cold.
Is it cold? It is cold.
Cold.
But they just go zooming past, all wrapped up with their bags and on their skateboards, on their bikes, running. I don't think children feel the cold. I don't think they feel the cold. I think they just. Anyhow, I have got to go because I've got flashing
Okay,
light.
sorry.
No,
Thank you.
it's all right. It's my fault. I shouldn't let you distract me. I've got a flashing light. I've got to go. All right. So thank you so much for coming. Don't forget, we'll be away for a week and then we'll be back. But by all means, come into log in and chat with each other if you wish to. Okay. And thank you for joining the session. Bye. Woofs. Yeah, woofs to Leica. I don't know where she is. I've got a horrible feeling. Hubby left the bedroom door open this morning, so she'll be upstairs lying on the bed like a naughty dog. Oh, and Moz, I forgot to say, Moz, thank you for the sound effects of your dogs in the background. It made things so much more real. Take care then. Bye. Calendar.
Yes, I have opened it. Yeah, I know, but that's routine, you know.
On the day, I tend to do that as well. I just check on the day. Okay, so that was just to make it clear that there will be only 1 week that we miss. And of course, if you want to meet up in the academy, you can, and do some reading about something else. That's absolutely fine. So let me just do the reading text. Oh, hang on a second. For some reason I've got last week's as well, Fridays as well. Okay, so Eleanor, you were the first person to say hello to me, which is always gets you to the
Yes,
top of the...
it's dangerous.
It is. It gets you
This
to the
is
top of the list.
The keys of that. Yeah.
And I don't think anybody missed out last week. I think everybody got to read last week, so that's good. I don't have to add anybody in from there. Then let's see. We've got Shiny was next. So Shiny, you'll be reading after Eleanor. Marco after Shiny. April after Marco. And Moz after everybody else. Okay, Moz. Now don't forget, when you log in, you should see a message in the top right of your viewer that says today's reading session and it will give you the link to join me here. So you can teleport here directly without having to ask for a teleport. Okay, so basically we're starting from something to do with Pelly, at the Pelly one morning. Okay, so Eleanor, as soon as you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready, yeah. At the Perry, okay. At the Perry one morning, as they were harnessing up, Dolly, who had never been conspicuous for anything, went suddenly mad. She announced her condition by a long, heart-breaking wolf howl that sent every dog bristling with fear, then sprang straight for Buck. He had never seen a dog go mad, nor did he have any reason to fear madness. Yet he knew that here was horror, and fled away from it in a panic. Straight away he raced with Dolly, panting and frothing, one leap behind. Nor could she gain on him, so great was his terror, nor could he leave her, so great was her madness. He plunged through the wooded breast of some damn day Kim skill that back. That back to devils, was Francois' rejoinder. All the time I watched that back I know for sure, listen. Some damn fine day him get mad like hell and then him chew that spits all up and spit him out on the snow. Sure I know. From then on it was war between them. Spitz as lead dog and acknowledged master of the team had his supremacy threatened by this strange Southland dog, and strange Buck was to him, for of the many Southland dogs he had known, not one had shown up worthily in calm and on trail. They were all too soft, dying under the toil, the frost, and starvation. Buck was the exception. He alone endured and prospered, matching the husky's strength, savagery, and cunning. Then he was a masterful dog, and what made him dangerous was the fact that the club of the man in the red sweater had knocked all blind pluck and rashness out of his desire for mastery. He was preeminently cunning, and could bide his time with a patience.
Okay, so welcome, and we're reading, I think this is the 4th week, we'll be reading Call of the Wild, so we've come on quite a way already, which is good. Now, just before we finish, just before we start, there won't be a session next week, okay? There will be a session the week after, so I'm not going away till tomorrow, till Wednesday, so I thought about it, I will admit, I thought, should I book the whole week off? And I thought, I don't need to, so I won't. So it's just 1 week of this session that will be missing, okay? Keep an eye on the calendar, of course,
Isn't it
as
10
ever.
days?
Yeah.
10 days, yeah?
Yes, basically, yeah. So from Wednesday until the end of the week after, okay? I did make a mistake in the calendar, but I've fixed that, I think. The sessions were running, but at the top it said Lynn's away, but it went for a month. And I was like, oh my goodness. And somebody contacted me and said, you're going away for a month? I went, no. And I looked, I thought, oh dear, I just put the wrong date in. I put 3 instead of 2. So it was like a whole, thank you, Shiny.
So on Wednesday there's no session, I see now. Okay, everything. Of the island flew down to the lower end, crossed a back channel filled with rough ice to another island, gained a third island, kept back to the main river, and in desperation started to cross it. And all the time, though he did not look, he could hear her snarling just one leap behind. Francois called to him a quarter of a mile away, and he doubled back, still one leap ahead, gasping painfully for air, and putting all his faith in that Francois would save him. The dog driver held the axe poised in his hand, and as Buck shot past him, the axe crashed down upon Mad Dolly's head. Buck staggered over against the sled, exhausted, sobbing for breath, helpless. This was Spitz's opportunity. He sprang upon Buck, and twice his teeth sank into his unresisting fur and ripped and tore the flesh to the bone. Then Francois' lash descended, and Buck had the satisfaction of watching Spitz receive the worst whipping as yet administered to any of the teams. "One devil, that Spitz," remarked Perrault.